is going on, ARASC Nation? It's your boy Austin here, and today, well, let's start off talking about this. If you read any comments on my videos, yes, me, saying, wow, this video sucks, this is terrible, that's Aaron, by the way, not me. He's just jealous because my videos are getting more views and likes than his are. So, he's basically just trashing my videos. It's nothing personal or anything like that. So, let us know in the comments which videos you think are better, mine or Aaron's. Now, let's get into the topic of today's video. Me and Aaron are going to start a new series called Bait Understanding. And all that is fishing can be complicated from time to time. And what me and Aaron are going to do is we're basically just going to dumb everything down. So, from a view that a five-year-old can understand them. So, let's talk about jigs. Now, there are 4 types of jigs. There are your flipping jigs, your football head jigs, your finesse jigs, and your swim jigs. Don't get too hell-bent on them. We'll talk about them, but anyway, let's get into the first jig. This is a flipping jig. Now, all a flipping jig is it's usually a lead poured head with a silicone skirt, heavy wire hook, and this is a weed guard, by the way. All this is basically just to keep grass, pieces of debris or anything off your hook so you're not getting snagged all the time. So what you're gonna do to fish a flipping jig is all you're gonna do is you're just gonna pitch it into cover, and then what you can do with this flipping jig is you can hop it a couple times, or you can drag it over the cover. It doesn't really matter. All this is designed to do is basically, yeah, you can mimic a bluegill, but the way I fish it is to mimic a crawfish. Now, one cool thing about these jigs, or all of these jigs, is this silicone skirt will actually flare out, so it'll give it a bigger profile. So, I know you can swim these, but that's not the way I fish them. Now, let's talk about football head jigs. What football head jigs are designed to do is they're designed to fish anywhere from 8 to whatever depth, and they're designed to basically drag it on the bottom. Now, a technique that has been pretty popular nowadays, it's called stroking a football head jig. All that is you're basically just hopping it up. You basically have your rod at a pretty much flat, and you're hopping it up to about 90 degrees. All that'll do is it'll just pick your jig up 2 feet off the bottom, and then it'll come back down. All it is basically just getting a reaction strike out of those fish. Now, your finesse jigs, these are the probably least, I probably use these the least. All this is basically just a smaller jig, smaller profile, and it'll flare out differently. You can use these whenever the bite's tough, or in cold water situations. Now, let's get the swim jigs out of the way. What all these are is basically just a finesse spinner bait, but you can fish them through grass and all that other stuff easier than you can a spinner bait. Chatterbait is probably, let me show you. Chatterbait, often known as the swim jig, a bladed jig. This probably works better over grass, but it'll give out where you're fishing, the bass are real skittish and all that other stuff. This will actually be better because it gives off less vibration than all those other jigs. And what you're going to do with those, you're just going to swim it through the middle of the water column. That's all you do with those. You can pop it a couple times, try and get a reaction strike out of those fish. But for right now, we're just going to leave those alone. Push them off to the side, don't worry about them. Now, let's talk about color. What I like to do for color. all your color should be is basically just to mimic the color of crayfish that you have. So green pumpkin, you got your browns, and then you got your black and blue. Then you got your black and blues. Now, you may be wondering, wow, a crayfish doesn't turn black and blue, but yes, it does. Whenever crayfish molt, and I don't know which moon phase it is, but they molt. So, whenever they molt, they usually turn a blackish bluish color, which hence the black and blue jigs. Plus, these work better in muddy water than, say, a green pumpkin will. Just gives off a better silhouette and all that other stuff. So, what else do we need to say? Oh, 95% of the time, your jig, whenever you get a bite on a jig, it's going to be on the fall. What I mean on the fall is, say, whenever you hop this a couple times, like you pick it up 6 feet off the bottom, or not 6 feet, 6 inches off the bottom. Their bass is usually 95% of the time gonna hit it as it's falling. Don't ask me why. That's just the way it. That's just the way nature works, as you can say. I don't know what I'm talking about. So, what else do we want to talk about? Oh, trailers. There's two types of trailers that I like to use. Now, what you can do is you can either take crawls, like standard soft plastic crawls, and you can bite them off, and then here I'll show you. You can either just go to about the middle of the body, and then you can either just stick it on. It'll give that jig a bigger profile, like a beefy profile, like you ain't catching nothing but a 4-pounder on this one. Or you can do what I like to do, and that's just threading it on. So you just start at the top, come down through, basically just how you thread anything on. Come down through about, I don't know, 1/4 of an inch off the bottom of it, and then just stick it on. Gives it that more compact profile. So, well, let's talk about the gear I like to use for jigs. Now, this is my flipping jig setup. It is a Abu Garcia 7-foot medium heavy Pro Max. Got it on a 7:1:1 gear ratio. I like that high speed gear ratio so whenever a fish bites and it's coming back at you, you can catch up to it real fast. Spooled up on 30-pound spider wire. Don't ask. You might be saying, there's gonna be that one guy in the comments saying, "Wow, 30 pounds. That ain't nothing. I use 65-pound." Well, good for you, buddy. I don't care. And another thing, you don't always have to use braid whenever you're fishing jigs. My dad, who's upstairs right now, he might appear later in the videos. He never uses bait casters. You see, he's one of those old school spinning reel guys, spinning reel monofilament. So he uses those, and he doesn't have a problem hooking these fish on, getting that heavy wire hook through. So basically, just use whatever setup you're comfortable with. But note this, that the lighter rod you go, the more power you have to have setting that hook. So I think that'll wrap up today's video. If you have any comments, leave them in the if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Well, my hair's all 7 ways to effed up. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. We'll answer them. Make sure they're serious comments. Yes, I know who's out there. Just leave them in the comments. I'm Austin from ARASC Nation. I will see you